Good morning again, and I'm Myrtle and I proudly represent the 4th District on the San Diego City Council. Today, we stand here in the Skyline Hills community to unveil the monument that will officially rename Skyview Neighborhood Park to the Officer Christopher Wilson Memorial Park. Joining me today are Mayor Kevin Faulconer, our council member Marti, Chief Shelley Zimmerman, Officer Christopher Wilson's family. I think his daughter Kaylee Wilson will be making remarks on behalf of the family, and lastly Herman Parker, Director of the Park and Recreation Department. Officer Christopher Wilson was a 17-year veteran of the San Diego Police Department. His legacy is one of protecting and serving this community with honor, dignity, and valor at the Southeastern Division, right next door. Officer Wilson was fatally wounded in the line of duty on October 27, 2010, in this community. 4 years later to the day, our community honors Officer Wilson's memory and the ultimate sacrifice he made to protect and serve San Diegans. He was well respected and will forever be revered as a local hero to all of us. When people pass by this park, they will remember Officer Wilson, and his name will always be a part of this community and in our hearts. As a former police lieutenant, I know the sacrifices that our men and women in blue make every single day. We owe them a debt that we can never repay. So Officer Wilson's family, Tracy Wilson and Kaylee, I want to say what an honor it was for my office to fund the monument that will immortalize Officer Wilson and his devotion and dedication to serving the people in this district. I want to thank the Mayor's office, the hardworking staff with the San Diego Police Department and the Park and Recreation Department. Now, I would like to introduce our Mayor, Kevin Faulconer.
Thank you, Myrtle. Thank you, Myrtle. Thank you, Myrtle. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Councilmember Cole. I'm very proud to be here to speak today and be part of this ceremony because of what Officer Chris Wilson stood for. Through and through, Chris was a dedicated servant to his country, his family, to our southeastern San Diego community. From ensign to officer, the badge of honor that Chris wore wasn't pinned to his chest. It was pinned to his personality, his very being, and it sparkled in servitude and humility. Chris had many chances for promotion, and time again he wanted to stay loyal right here in the neighborhoods. That is the definition of selfless dedication and service. Chris was truly committed to making San Diego a better place to live. But that was just one of the great things about Officer Chris Wilson. There are countless stories and testaments to his character, and when we were talking with folks and friends and families and neighbors, among the two words that always seemed to ring loudest, dedication and service. These are values that all of us as San Diegans should strive to live by. And that is why today we are infinitely and morally etching his name into the fiber of who we are as San Diegans and to this community. And I know that there is no token of appreciation that can ever be exchanged for a life. But it is my hope that for all of us, and particularly for his family, and for Tracy, Kaylee, Connor, that this small stone is a dedication in exchange for a huge and large thank you, and continuous thank you from all of us in our great city. Thank you for giving us and to giving this city an example by which to live by every single day. Was your husband, your father, our officer, and he may have passed, but he forever lives on as a shining example of service in the San Diego community. As mayor, I'm so fortunate, and we are so fortunate, ladies and gentlemen, to have the dedication every single day of the men and women that serve this community 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and willing to do what it takes to protect our community. Today we come together as a community to honor one of the best that we have ever had. So I say to all of you, many of our officers who are here today that are joining us, thank you. Thank you for what you do to make our city the greatest city in the country, putting your lives on the line for us every single day. We are in your honor, we are in your gratitude, and we stand here today to honor one of the finest that ever served this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Faulconer. Now I would like to introduce Councilmember Marti Emerald.
Thanks, sweetie. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. First of all, I want to acknowledge the Wilson family. Thank you very much for allowing us to make this humble offering in Chris's memory. And you have been terrific. You've been our examples, our strength. And we appreciate your having shared Chris with us and helped us all to appreciate who he was as a man, a friend, a father, a husband, a brother. So thank you. All I can think as I look around this beautiful field today, all of you here, is that a person's life is never measured by the toys he has in his garage, or how big a house he's got, or how fast a car he drives, but by the community that he brings together, the men, the women, the children, and looking out at all of your faces, Chris Wilson built an incredible community, a community of brave men and women, of committed community servants, volunteers, people who go out and make a difference every day. And so often we take that for granted, don't we? We just take for granted that we'll go to bed at night and wake up the next morning and be off to the same old job, the same old routine. But we're reminded today that we can take nothing for granted. Chris was helping to serve a warrant, am I correct? And this was a random act of violence that took his life so abruptly. He never had a chance to put all of his affairs in order. Didn't have a chance to say, I love you one last time to you, Kylie, to your brother. Didn't have a chance to start clicking off the items on that bucket list. And maybe we never will, any of us. But when we pass this park from now on and we see Chris's name there on that sign, we will be reminded of a person who took nothing for granted, really. A man who knew that on any day, any given day, he might find himself at the wrong end of a gun. He might wind up being shot. He may never come home. And doesn't that teach us all a lesson? To live our lives the way we know we should live them. Start clicking off the items on that bucket list. Take nothing for granted and no one for granted. And that's the humble offering we will make today. And that is that we do not take Chris Wilson for granted. We don't take any of our fine first responders, our police, our firefighters, our lifeguards, all of you who put your life on the line every single day. We take none of you for granted. We are all part of the same family and the same community, the community that Chris Wilson built. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Emerald. Next, I would like to introduce and present to all of you who know her, Chief Shelley Zimmerman.
Thank you, Mayor Faulconer, Councilmember Cole, Councilmember Emerald, for being here and for your wonderful and thoughtful words today. Today we do gather with family, friends, colleagues of San Diego Police Officer Christopher Wilson to remember the sacrifice he made for the community that he loved so dearly. Officer Christopher Wilson began his career with the San Diego Police Department on March 16, 1993. Prior to joining our department, he served 5 years in the Navy, where he reached the rank of lieutenant. After graduating from the police academy, Chris was assigned to the Southeastern Division, where he worked for the next 17 years. Chris loved serving the people of Southeastern Division, and he passed up several opportunities to transfer and to promote out of the division that he loved so dearly. While at Southeastern Division, Chris was selected to be on the SWAT team, a field training officer, and a peer support officer. On October 27, 2010, 4 years ago today, while assisting the U.S. Marshal Service and the San Diego County Probation Department arrest a wanted felon, Chris was fatally wounded. Chris is survived by his mother, Ann Myers, his wife, Tracy, his son, Connor, and his daughter, Kaylee. Officer Richard Valenzuela was assigned to guard Chris's body at the hospital, and he later transferred to Southeastern Division, where he began the work to rename Skyview Community Park to Officer Christopher Wilson's Park. Richard worked with Councilmember Cole to obtain approval from the City Council to rename the park, and Councilmember Cole's office, as you heard, covered the cost of the new park plaque. And this tribute to Chris, having this particular park, the park located right next to Southeastern Division, be renamed and dedicated in his honor and memory, is the perfect choice. Parks, by their very definition, inspire a sense of community. And it was at this very park, after Chris was murdered, that 1,000 community members strong held a candlelight vigil to honor and remember Officer Christopher Wilson. I remember that night very well, and we will all remember that night. Listening to community member after community member tell stories, how Chris helped them, how Chris cared for them, how Chris guided them and watched over them. Chris will always be remembered as a highly regarded and extremely dedicated family man and police officer who took pride in wearing our uniform and patrolling the streets of San Diego. Chris's legacy will always live on. Yes, his legacy will live on in the values and the highest ethical standards he instilled in the officers that he trained and mentored, and in the countless community member lives that he touched. This park symbolizes everything Officer Christopher Wilson was about. He wanted peace and happiness for the community and for our city. And now when families come here and children play at Officer Christopher Wilson's park, let this park be a beacon of hope and opportunity for all, the hope to fulfill your dreams. The dreams Officer Christopher Wilson gave his life while protecting and serving the community he loves so dearly.
Thank you, Chief. And I wasn't going to say it, but I'm going to say it. I normally start off my remarks at every event by saying, welcome to the 4th Council District, the best district in the city of San Diego. I wasn't going to say it because my friend and colleague, Marti is here, but I'm going to say it because it is the best district in the city of San Diego. So I just needed to say that. Next to District 8, I said. All right. Okay. Next for remarks would be Kaylee Wilson, the officer's daughter.
Keep these on. Hi. I am going to share a poem that I wrote right after my dad passed away, because I didn't write anything else, and it really it's special to me, and it kind of tells me and everybody else how I feel and how I should keep living my life. All right. It's a heart-stopping moment as the phone call that we got worryingly told us that my Superman had been shot. My heart begins to ache and the fear starts setting in that I will never see my dad's soft face smile at me again. Happy memories flash back, and then things you'd wish you'd done, because deep down inside you know he will be gone. Looking at your hero, injured and barely alive, it feels as though your heart has shattered and you don't think you'll survive. Holding his hand, kissing his chest, wishing I could change what was to come, my hero laid his life on the line and his time protecting is done. His courageous friends never left him alone, and they strongly stood by his side. Because of them, I was able to say goodbye and hold my dad's hand when he died. An irreplaceable man was taken from us in an awful, tragic way, and suddenly you face the world feeling alone and afraid. But that is not what he would want, and he would sternly tell us so. Just because his time ended doesn't mean we should let ours go. I will miss my dad for the rest of my life, through the days, the months, and the years. However, when I cry, you better believe they will be proud tears. For how can you not be proud and admiring of a man with a heart of gold, who did good things and helped people without ever being told? It's not what you do in front of others, but what you do when no one can see that determines who you are, is one of the lessons he taught me. Because of him, I will go on and do my best to make him proud, wishing at every milestone I could see his face watching me from the crowd. A hero was taken too soon, but there is nothing we can do except honor a man who changed the world and help each other just like he would do. I want to say thank you to everybody for coming, and my brother says thank you. He is making us very proud playing baseball in Ohio. I know Dad's proud. And I want to leave you, specifically the police officers, a lot of you who I've gotten to know very well, have become part of my family. A quote that my dad left on something, and it says, "Police officers in many ways are like sheepdogs, protecting the flock of sheep from the wolves. Is there anything more noble?" Thank you.
Your father would be proud, very proud. Thank you, Kaylee. Next, Director of Parks and Recreation Department, Herman Parker.
Thank you, Council Member and Mayor, and thank you all for being here today. First, I have to just pay honor to the Wilson family for your family sacrifice. And we, as the Park and Recreation Department, we are indeed honored to be here as we rename this park site in honor of Officer Christopher Wilson. You know, our Park and Recreation Department over the years has had such a wonderful relationship with our police department. We've collaborated on so many things to keep our parks, our community centers, and our communities safe, and to enforce those rules that help our society be a safer place for everyone. Our parks play such an important role in mentoring those young people as they come up, and I know Officer Wilson would be so proud to be here and see a park site being named in his honor. As we look at Officer Christopher Wilson's legacy, we are proud to honor him once again today and honor him with his name being placed on this park. I am told that Officer Wilson understood the importance of that human element in his work and made extraordinary efforts to connect with the community in which he served here in the Southeast Division. Once again, on behalf of the Parks Department, we're indeed honored and we are grateful to be able to name this park site in honor of Officer Wilson, and we look forward to all of the wonderful kids that will come here and families that will come here and remember his name as they play and they recreate in this facility. Thank you so much.
So now I believe what's next is to join me at the unveiling.
A memento of a life remembered. The dog tag and the American flag on the top as a remembrance of your father's service and dedication both to his country and his community. Just a personal remembrance, so it will be a life remembered.
Thank you, Mayor.